You are listening to episode 4 of Eric Stacy's Seeing Red podcast. I'm coming to you this week, the week of 4th of July, the week where we should be celebrating the greatness of this country. And frankly, I'm completely pissed off. I am so sick of this shit. I am so tired of it, and I hope you are too. There is no room anymore for PC politeness and any of that bullshit. And excuse me for cussing. I played the first episode for my parents, and my mom, who's a conservative and believes like I do, was like, I'd never play this for my parents. You say fuck and you say shit. Well, you know what? Fuck that shit, because this is a time that people need to fucking wake up. This country is in the most sorry state it has been in its history. And it's happening now on this week of the 4th of July. I don't want to come off as completely negative, but I am so frigging pissed off. I don't even know where to start. To begin with, that friggin' horrible excuse for a congresswoman, that terrorist in a towel, Ilhan Omar, was found to have fraudulently supplied 8 years of false tax returns with a man she wasn't even married to. And you know what? In Minnesota, a state that's so firmly run by the blue Democrats, that I would be surprised if she ever gets sent to jail or has any punitive measures put on her. It's pathetic, the excuses, the things that these people get away with, the disrespect for this country that's going on is insane. It makes me so I'm so angry right now. What else is going on? Another non-elected Ninth Circuit Court judge in San Francisco, of course San Francisco, has again put an injunction up on our president, President Trump, about building the wall. What I want to know is, since when are non-elected, supposed to be neutral judges that are only supposed to interpret the law, all of a sudden they have more say than the President of the United States? The President of the United States is elected by the people. He's supposed to be our voice. He's supposed to be the highest American representative in government. When did local judges become more important? And how does this Ninth Circuit constantly get to put up these stupid injunctions? These people aren't interpreting the law. They're bought and paid for political analysts who have all taken the side of the left and are doing all they can to block the security of this country, because that wall means the security of this country. Let me tell you, coming through that border every day with these illegal immigrants are diseases, are terrorists, are children being trafficked in sex crimes. I've said this before, but so many people are so apathetic. They're so stuck in their own little world and waiting for somebody else to take care of their problems. It's beyond that. People, it's time for you to start getting involved in this fight, because it is a fight, and it's getting old having to say the same thing to people. But either you want to wake up one day in Mexico, because that's what this country is quickly going to become if the Democrats have their way, or you're going to fight for this country and be proud of this country that's fought for herself for over 250 years now, and stood in the face of tyranny, stopped the Nazis marched through Europe, stopped so many things, stopped Saddam Hussein from taking over the Middle East. It just makes me so angry. I'm sorry. What else is going on? Trump, again, does something great. He meets with one of the biggest threats globally against the United States, Kim Jong-un, of North Korea. North Korea, one of the handful of countries that has many nuclear weapons, could blow up this world many times over, and Trump is trying his best to meet with this guy and put our differences aside and make it a safer world. He walks through the DMZ with Kim Jong-un, a huge deal, something that hasn't happened since the end of the Korean War. And I don't know if you know your military history, but the Korean War never officially ended. There was never an armistice. There was just a ceasefire that's been in existence since 1953. So this huge deal happens this weekend where Trump walks with Kim Jong-un through the DMZ. And of course, all the media outlets are deaf, dumb, and blind to it. They basically are too ignorant to say what a huge deal this is and what a great effort the president's making in making our country a safer, more peaceful place. Yet, these same news outlets will gush over and spout over two idiots who spout a little Spanish during the Democrats' sorry excuse for a debate earlier in the week. And they'll be so damn impressed with that. And it was two people, Cory Booker and Beto from Texas, who both have done nothing for this country, yet they get up there at this Democrats, whatever you want to call it, debate, whatever you want to call it, and spout a little Spanish because they're pandering to the Spanish-speaking illegal immigrants of this country, trying to get their vote, because yes, there are states that are allowing illegal immigrants to vote by giving them driver's license. So these two pander to them and spout off a little Spanish to impress them. And MSNBC and CNN fall all over themselves about it. Yet when the president walks through the DMZ with Kim Jong-un and tries to make this country a little bit of a safer place where we won't blow the friggin' world up with nuclear arms, nobody covers it. It's sick what's going on in this country. By the way, I know I put this up on my page earlier in the week, but YouTube not only censored my show producer this week when he first put the show up by telling him we couldn't show our show's logo in the thumbnail, but earlier this week they tried to downplay the amount of listens the third episode got. I believe it was Wednesday when we had close to 90 listens, when all of a sudden they dropped the number to 55. Why? Because they don't want any show that's done by a conservative, that shows a conservative viewpoint, that comes from a right, viewpoint. They don't want the show to do well. So they start dropping the numbers and making the show not look like it's not doing as well. And I want to tell you people, you guys are what's making this show do well. This show's doing much better than expected, far better than I ever expected it to do, and it's all because of you guys. The third episode has well over 100 listens. It may not seem like a lot, but we've got 27 subscribers, and bless you people. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to the show, for subscribing, for giving me likes, because it's from little goals and little dreams that big accomplishments become reality. And you guys are making this show happen, and I thank you so much for it. And I'm sorry if I sound angry or angrier today than normal, but I am angry. I'm damn angry. I'm so angry. I've said this also on my Facebook page, but the only news outlet where you get the real news is called the Epoch Times, EPOCH. Do yourself a favor if you really want to know what's going on in this country, not CNN or MEC's lies and watered down versions of the Democratic view, but real news. Subscribe to the Epoch Times. They'll deliver it to your house like the old-fashioned days. They'll deliver it, online, social media, so you can read it on your phone, however you want it. But these are the only people that are honestly just going out and reporting the facts, what journalists are supposed to do. We all know that MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS are already bought and paid for weaponized versions of the left-wing media. But if you want the real truth of what's going on, do yourself a favor, subscribe to the Epoch Times. When I was a kid, I used to love to grab the LA Times and a cup of coffee and sit in my backyard and have a smoke and a cup of coffee when I woke up in the morning and read the paper. And that's what I do these days with the Epoch Times. And it's nice to have the Epoch Times. It's nice to have Parler.com online. I've been telling people if you want an alternative to the lying, manipulative, Facebooks, Twitters of the world, go to Parler, Parler.com. because they will allow anyone to say and express how they feel without suspending them, without doing any of that, playing any of those political games and bullshit. And it's such a joy to actually go on to a social media site and actually hear how people really truly feel. I actually read something yesterday that said Parler had become the sixth largest social media site, and that the left-wing sites were getting nervous, and that Apple was going to do all they could to block Parler from being produced on their sites. So it's actually made me, I need to get rid of this iPhone, whatever, 10 or whatever, 8, whatever the hell it is, but I'm thinking about getting a Samsung Galaxy and doing away with my iTunes library, because I want a phone from a company that's not trying to block the truth, trying to affect the country's future, and trying to see this country become a shitty, shabby excuse of what it used to be. A few other things that are going on right now. Iran this weekend confirmed that they had exceeded their nuclear capabilities. Big surprise, according to the previous sanctions put on them. So once again, we see how much of a treasonous Barack Hussein Obama was. The guy who gave them billions, released their sanctions, snuck his own money out through Iranian banks when he was no longer president, or set it up so that when he was no longer president, he would still have untold fortunes. Basically, Barack Hussein Obama robbed America's banks before leaving the White House. And you can include people like John Kerry, John Brennan, Loretta Lynch, the ex-attorney general. You can include them all in those crimes, because they were all responsible for that. Lastly, another thing that happened that's so embarrassing to be an American. I shouldn't say embarrassing to be American. I should say embarrassing to have Americans pulling this kind of crap. But at the Montgomery County Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Rockville, Maryland this week, again, the week of the 4th of July, once again, the POW MIA flag was taken down and replaced by the Rainbow Pride flag. America, this is why I'm not playing music anymore. I'm so frigging pissed off about what's happening to our country when everyday citizens are being spit in the face, are being disrespected. People are trying to turn this country into a third world nation, and it's getting really old, and I'm getting really pissed off, and I want to know, when are people going to get tired of being disrespected? When are people going to get tired of being spit in the face? When are people going to get tired of the fact that we have veterans that are homeless, we have Americans starving in the streets, yet these demon rats, Democrats, are voting to give millions to illegal immigrants rather than take care of our veterans first, rather than take care of our mentally ill homeless people first? When is this country going to get right and start taking care of our own first? And forget about, I know the Democrats want these illegal immigrants as voters because they've screwed up their own party so bad. But so now they're going to screw up the whole country just so that they can get a vote. I'm sorry, people. This has got to end, and it's got to end now. Get involved, or you're going to wake up tomorrow and this country's going to be gone. It's going to be a third world nation infested with diseases, completely drained of its assets. And we've worked too long and too hard to make this the great country that it is. So people, this is why I do what I do. Keep coming back to this podcast. I love you, and don't give up the fight. 2020 is coming, and we need to reelect Trump so badly. So let's do what has to be done. Contact your local senators and congressmen. Let them know how you feel, and keep up the fight. And tune in for episode 5 coming real soon. You've been listening to episode 4 of Eric Stacy's Seeing Red podcast. I will talk to you all real soon. Until then, take care and have a great 4th of July. God bless America. You've been listening to the 4th episode of Eric Stacy's Seeing Red podcast. Tune in for episode 5 coming real soon. Happy 4th of July, everyone.